I'll just introduce us quick, and then Jesse has some content that he's going to share. So my name is Jeff Moss. I'm the founder of Empire Dynamics. And Thomas asked us the other day if we'd be willing to share some of our experience switching from Post Builder to Post Configurator, since we've been prioritizing it lately. We've been doing a lot of extra work, or at least Jesse has. And so I just wanted to take a second to introduce us, who we are, what we do. We're basically a CNC applications engineering group. We're a pretty small team. We're based in Albany, New York, but we also have two guys, including Jesse, who are based in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we do, anything related to CNC applications, specifically when it comes to rather complex machines. The typical Haas VMC is less interesting to us than a multi-axis, multitasking, multi-channel type machine. And we've, in the last few years, gotten into the NX post and simulation business. And we got started doing that when we were working with one of our clients, and they needed a post-processor and a simulation for a rather complex machine, and we weren't able to find anybody based in North America that was willing to quote it, or at least we weren't able to find them easily. So we agreed with our customer that we would make the investment in the software and the investment in time to learn how to do it. And as many of you may appreciate, that was a rather large investment, maybe a little larger than we initially intended, but we found ourselves with a relevant set of skills for the NX manufacturing world. So that's kind of how we got started, and we've sort of made it the primary part of our business since then. So that's it. I just wanted to do a quick introduction of who we are and what we do. If you have any interest in talking with us further afterward, feel free to visit our website, send us a message, or you can get our contact info from Thomas. And so, with that, I want to hand it over to Jesse to share a little bit of his experience with Post Configurator.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Hi Jesse, yes.
Awesome. So my name is Jesse Kenyon. As Jeff said, I'm working with Empire Dynamics to create posts and sims. And so we started working with Post Configurator in January, and we made a 100% switch to start using just Post Configurator to create our new posts. And I just wanted to share kind of our process, what we've learned, what we like and what we don't like, etc. And so let me see if I can share my screen here. And so there's certainly been some hurdles, but overall we believe that it's a huge improvement to Post Builder. Obviously the first one that we created with Post Configurator took a little while, but after that learning curve, we're realizing the benefits of Post Configurator as far as creating posts with less effort and being able to borrow a lot of material from our previous posts. And being able to do so pretty easily. So during the training with Thomas, I noticed a pretty immediate need for some organization, at least for myself. I noticed that there was a lot of power in the ability to place code wherever you want. You guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Awesome. And so in the TCL layers, you can really place your buffer modifications and your procs wherever you want. And I decided that wasn't really going to work for me, so I wanted to create just some order and borrow from the sequence of events that Post Builder had already had laid out for us. And so I just created these headers. And so program start sequence, start a path, etc. as a placeholder for where to put the code that I wanted to place into the TCL layer. And so adding in a buffer to add just simply the operation name in start of path, and then the proc to do so. It creates a location to have your code. It makes it easy to browse through and kind of get a sense of what's going to be happening in the post, and then also to quickly locate commands if you know where they're getting output. So that was a huge improvement for us, and we continue to just use this template in all the new posts that we create. So some of the challenges that we've found, I'll go into a little bit of detail on these. Creating macros was my first huge hurdle, not realizing that the intent was to create macros inside the definition file along with the block templates. And so in my mind, it's a little bit clunky in that you need to, so in order to create, say, a drilling cycle, you need the parentheses and the commas between your values. And so that's done by adding in just parentheses here in your variables. There's just a comma before as a leader before your variable's output. In my mind, it's a little bit clunky, but it's still functional. And to Thomas's point of wanting to keep everything consistent and not have a separate window for this stuff, it makes sense. So I point that out as partially just a benefit to you guys to be able to know where those are. The MCS tool, MCS and tool info output is also just a little bit tricky to find. So in file output handling, typically in the past for Post Builder, you would go into the simulation INI TCL, and this is where you would make changes to your output MCS and tool info for simulating. And so that's located here now in a tiny little window that's hard to use. So I always grab this and place it into a separate text editor to modify. And I was thinking, honestly, if we could get a button here similar to the TCL editor, that would be pretty convenient. But either way, it's just a copy paste. It's simple and not a huge deal breaker.
Maybe. So Jesse, one comment to this button you mentioned. This will be available with one of the next main releases.
Nice. That's great.
1899.
Very cool.
Just to mention that.
Thank you. Yeah. And so on the flip side of that downside, it is integrated into the UI, which I like. And so you don't have to navigate to the file. So not being able to see the base code is also a bit limiting. So my current solution to that is just post on the forum and get Thomas to respond to it. He's pretty active on the forum in helping people find what they need and suggest a way to get a solution to your issue. And finally, for the challenges, if there is an issue, if there's an error in posting, so if I just screw up this code real quick and post, it kicks you out of Post Configurator, which is just a slight inconvenience. You have to go back into it and hope that you can go back and find the error and fix it. But also to that point, I believe, Thomas, you said that there might be an improvement to that in the future as well.
And we also, I will also tell something to that in the troubleshooting post-processor.
Yeah, right.
That matched today.
Cool. Okay, cool. So, the list of challenges is pretty minimal and honestly a little bit nitpicky, which are easily outweighed by the benefits. So, the main benefit for us is layers, and so it's just a simple and easy way to reuse code from previous projects. It allows for just modularity, assembling new posts, kind of like a block, to paste into a new post. And so you're not redundantly coding the same code that you have for previous projects. So an example of the layers that we use, we have just a company layer where we're making really simple edits. So like UI settings, like turning on the inspect tool. We always will want to turn on the inspect tool when we're creating a post. So I have that inside our Empire Dynamics layer. And then a couple of header adjustments to put our company name at the top of the post, etc. So really simple stuff that like we never have to worry about changing those settings each new post. Modifying the feed rate. We created a separate layer for that. And then also tool list, so just adding a little bit more info on the tool list for something that a customer was requesting. Customer specific changes. If we're creating posts for multiple posts for a customer, and they have that preference for all of their posts, then it's easy to just copy that layer into a new one for that customer. And then base layers for a machine. For instance, if you have a Grob 550, and then in the future you create a post for a Grob 550T, you can take your base layer and just add a turning layer to that. And so you're significantly decreasing the amount of time that you're working on creating this base layer because you just copy it from your previous machine. As far as flexibility, UI adjustments make it a lot quicker and easier to make changes to your post. So just for an easy instance, clamping, clamp turn it on and off, coolant turn it on and off, is just a simple setting in the UI rather than going into the TCL code to make those modifications. Encrypting and locking is really simple. Just with the click of a button, add your sold to, and then after you do encrypt, you just have to make sure you go in and delete those TCL files. So the encryption process will create a PCE duplicate of your TCL, so an encrypted PCE, and so just make sure you delete those TCL files that it creates. Continuous improvement. So like Thomas has already mentioned in a couple of these complaints that I had, him and his team are eager to improve our experience, and they're very responsive to feedback and in improving upon Post Configurator, which as far as I can tell, you don't get in Post Builder. Creating multiple chains is really simple, and so if you want to have a turning layer, it's as simple as 2 lines of code. To create a chain is 1 line, and then to set your chain selection priority. So if I want mom machine mode to be the selection determination, you just add that line of code, and then for chain mapping, if mom machine mode is turn, then it goes into this turn layer, or this turn chain, and then you can add all your options in here. So it's a really simple way to create different chains for each machine. And then autocomplete in the TCL editor is really slick. And so I don't even have to type in the right capitalization. I can just type in lowercase, and it comes up with all of these mom options. So I can tab down to this and be able to easily add it. There's no syntax errors or typing errors in this code, etc. And then the ability to search for commands is pretty slick as well. So the other day I was thinking it'd be cool to output an error message if a customer didn't set a setting in their CAM file. And so I just typed in error and easily found this command to add here. There's certainly a little bit more documentation if you then go online and do a search, which actually is also pretty slick. From inside of here, just press F1 and it will open your help window and quickly search inside here rather than navigating through all of the different selections to figure out which product you're using. It's really fast to go in there. So yeah, autocomplete at speed, reducing syntax errors, and then exploring commands. And so overall, we're very happy with Post Configurator, despite a couple of those challenges that I mentioned. The future updates and improvements are always exciting. Similar to one of them that just came out, which was great when using the inspect tool. Oh, screwed something up. When using the inspect tool to get to the block template really quickly is a really convenient way to figure out where your line of code is getting output. Previously, to find where that was, it was a little bit cumbersome. But so click on a line in the inspect tool, and here you get the block template, and you even have a button to go straight to the block template to modify it. Definitely excited to be working with a product that is actively receiving upgrades, and it's certainly what we will be using in the future, with the efficiency improvements being the #1 driver for that decision. So hopefully that was useful for you guys.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jesse.
Cool.
Yeah, very useful. Thank you. Thank you for this honest feedback. So
Yeah,
I make some notes.
Hey, Thomas. This is Derek Karpinski from GE.
Hi, Derek.
We love the concept of layers, right? And we have something that's very similar. But I'm interested in, are you going to take layers to the ultimate endpoint or goal? Would be to share layers amongst posts.
Yeah. For sure, you can share layers, and you can also. I personally think. I mean, I'm not knowing the your post structure in deep, right? I just knowing. Okay, you have also like a layer concept and so on. But I think all the things you can reuse definitely. And
when you say reuse, it makes a copy of it, right?
No, it not means at the end and make a copy. Maybe that is something you really have to go in deep. And as I mentioned, I don't know the complete structure, but I think especially what you did in your existing layer structure, that most of the things you directly can reuse. That means for sure you have to eliminate maybe some of the parts to use the functionality of Post Configurator, but you can link them in. And I'm pretty sure that this is possible.
Because with the product you have now?
Yes.
Okay.
But for sure it needs some, that is what I mean, it's like a feeling, but from my experience, and even, I talked about this, for example, Post Builder converting tool, so I really have a deep insight now in how the structure built up and so on, and from TCL, at the end it's TCL, right? Post Configurator is just the application to make it maybe easier, hopefully make it easier. But at the end, the underlying architecture is TCL. And if you know how TCL works and how it works in an X together with an X, then it's just to decide a decision at the end how to implement it that it works as before, and you can benefit of the new features. That's my opinion. And
you understand our use case, right? If I have 400 post processors and I want to write a FANUC layer, I don't want 400 individual copies of the FANUC layer. I want one where I can go change that single layer and it's shared amongst all 400 post processors, right?
Right. But for example, just one use case I have in mind from a different customer. So for example, they have multiple locations in the world, and they created like it's a standard layer. Also, it's for a Siemens controller, but doesn't matter. And this one contains standard functionality which is used by all post-processors on the world. The special thing here is this one layer is located on a file server or on a server. And the post-processor, the standard post-processing functionality they have in their CAM systems in like Brazil or wherever, and they press post-process, it will automatically include this layer which is on the central server in Germany, use this functionality, and then post, for example. That is really, I mean, in beginning when they told me what they want, I did not understand why they want it, but now I think I understand it. And that can make really a huge benefit, because now they only change this one layer, because they maybe have some core fix in an X, whatever, and directly all other post processors on the world are fixed with changing one file.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
I can talk to that a little bit real quick too. This is Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
We have the opposite scenario where we have lots of different customers that we would like to share layers between. So we're developing a file revision control system so that we can have like a push-pull scenario where we know which layer updates have been pushed to what customers. And yeah, we're approaching it from a different angle, but similar topic. Just wanted to mention that.
So you're keeping track of which customers need which updates.
Yeah, and we're trying to facilitate pushing or pulling updates to the different environments that we have sort of scattered around the country.
I think this is the biggest challenge in general for NXCAM and post processing. So we have so much use cases. So on the one side you have like Empire Dynamics, they have a partner, they have multiple customers. Every customer want a different customization and so on. And on the other side you have also like customers like you, Derek, which are very big, and they have it's in their own company, and they only dealing with one generic post processor version. And I think this is a challenge, and we try to approach with this product to match all those use cases. And there are multiple other use cases, like we talked before for pre-sales, for example. I mean, this is not interesting for you, Derek, right? And but for example, for Empire Dynamics, maybe, or generally a partner, it's interesting because a normal pre-sales guy who don't have any experience in post-processing, he just can create out-of-the-box libraries and say, the customer asks him, hey, do you have a post-processor for, I don't know, Mosaic IntegrX? Can you show me how does it look? And he just click a few clicks and he have a post-processor. For sure, it's not perfect directly, but he can say to the customer, yeah, sure, we have. And that is the challenge here, to match all those use cases we have in the world.
Yeah, I understand all the use cases. I think it would be nice in Post Configurator, and this is just from my use case, right, to be able to select a layer and have that be on a network location, or use an environment variable to point to that, or even if I don't know how you'd architect it, but it'd be nice to do it in the UI. Right, because that is the ultimate use of layers, right? If the goal is to reuse the code, that is the ultimate, right?
Right.
I change it in one spot and it flows down to all the rest of my post processors.
Okay. Let me maybe I mean, especially for you, I can create this, just collect this material we have with this other customer, what we did. And or maybe also, or she can share it here, whatever, how it maybe can look. Okay?
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions or remarks to the presentation of Empire Dynamics? That sounds first like a no. So then, from my side, many thanks to you, Jeff and Jesse, to jump in the slot here. And yeah, as you know, all the time. If you have questions, just ask. And I'm very happy also about that's what I want to mention about this feedback. And I can encourage everyone, if there's something which is not working, ping me out. So otherwise, only in this way we can improve the complete product, and that is the goal. Okay.